Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still holding this crucial level of support in the immediate short term, but on the daily time frame, Bitcoin's still struggling underneath this massive area of resistance. And it just came out that over the last few days, BlackRock has been dumping Bitcoin because we've been seeing a lot of outflows from specifically the BlackRock ETF and also some other Bitcoin ETFs, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is now retesting a crucial level on the price chart, while the price of XRP is continuing the rejection from this major area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin news today, looking at the Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows over this last 1 week, because of course now we have all the numbers for the week, because in case you're new to all of this, we usually get the numbers basically around a day after the previous trading day. And so we can see here that we started off the week on Monday relatively well with a net inflow of almost $700 million coming into the Bitcoin ETFs, but then that all turned around starting Tuesday with a net outflow of almost $250 million, around $243 million. Another net outflow on Wednesday of $486 million. Another net outflow of almost $400 million on Thursday. And then finally finishing off the week with a net outflow of exactly $250 million, $250 million, leaving the Bitcoin ETFs just on Friday. And in fact, in the second half of the week, every single day, basically Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we saw net outflows coming from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, dumping a lot of Bitcoin on the market, because basically, in case you're new to all of this, this is a spot Bitcoin ETF, which basically means if we're seeing outflows, that's effectively the previous ETF holders, the investors, selling their ETF shares, for example. In other words, BlackRock has to effectively sell the underlying Bitcoin, the spot Bitcoin, in order to actually pay out these outflows. And so this sell pressure here, these outflows are initiated by the ETF holders, the investors, and then of course the ETF providers like BlackRock, Fidelity, etc. If there's being outflows, they have to dump Bitcoin, effectively is what this means. So of course, in the second half of the week, basically for most of the week besides Monday, we did see some sell pressure from the Bitcoin ETF. So keep that in mind. That's also one of the many reasons as to why we saw a bit of a pullback over the last few days for almost a week now. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, this has not really changed all that much over the last 1 day. The super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger correction or a larger bearish market. And on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we technically still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which over the last 1 day has not really changed. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we have a smaller or shorter term bullish divergence, which is also technically still active as I record in this video. And so this means that in the coming days or possibly weeks, that sort of time frame, we're most likely going to see either a little bit more of a sideways consolidation or maybe a little bit more of a bullish relief. Not necessarily a huge high momentum movement towards all-time highs. Obviously, we don't always see that sort of outcome. In fact, that's actually a quite unlikely outcome from a bullish divergence. What we usually end up seeing is more of a slight bullish relief, maybe some choppy sideways price action here and there as the most common outcomes, the most very likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. So overall, that's what I continue to expect if we're talking about the next few days or weeks. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now the price of Bitcoin is still in this sideways price range here, bouncing between support and resistance. First of all, this support is still sitting at around 85 to 86,000, and this resistance is still sitting at around 92 to 94,000, but especially in the higher end of that area, so around 93 and especially 94k, that's where we have strong resistance for the price. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously once again we have that area of resistance here at give or take 94,000, still acting as strong resistance for the price. And as for short-term support to watch out for, over the last few days we've seen multiple tests of this level right here, tests and retests, etc. And so far we're still holding this level as support based on previous support and also previous resistance, which is now once again acting as support, and that's sitting at pretty much exactly 90,000. So really is a bit more of an area in between around 89,500 to 90,500. I would expect a lot of support in this region, but especially at that 90k level, that is a key level on the price chart, at least in the short term. But honestly, my expectations over the weekend, just in the immediate short term, the next 1 or maybe 2 days, is most likely a bit of choppy sideways price action is a very likely scenario. As always, there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but considering we've already been bouncing around sideways as expected over the last 1 to 2 days, I continue to expect this at least for the rest of this weekend as a very likely scenario, while traditional markets like the stock market are closed, of course, over the weekend. But we also have to be aware of the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, because right now we still have more liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin. First of all, we have a small amount above the price all the way up here at around 94.8k, but right now we're starting to build more and more liquidity at around just above 89,000, in between around 89,000 to 89.1k as a key target to watch out for in the short term. And below that, we have a small amount of liquidity at 88.2 to 88.3k. And below that, we have a decent amount of liquidity at just above 86,500. And so considering the fact that we're building more liquidity at that 89.1k level approximately, and considering that's pretty close to the current price of Bitcoin as we could see, I will not be surprised if sometime soon, within the next few days or so, not necessarily right this moment, but within the next few days, I would not be surprised if we see a little candle wick down just to wipe out that liquidity at that level right there at around 89.1k, which is around here on the price chart. And so once again, that's not a 100% guarantee. There's no such thing as a guarantee, but it's likely that that could happen. I'll not be surprised if that happens at some point in the next few days or over the next 1 week or so. And keep in mind, if we just see a candle wick towards the downside and quickly come back above around $90,000 right here and see the candle closes remaining above 90,000, in that situation, we can still be holding this as support, as we've seen over the last few days. But once again, as I said earlier, for the remainder of the weekend, it is quite likely we'll kind of just bounce around somewhat sideways here in the shorter term. There's a very likely scenario for the weekend. And of course, if you want to get set up ready to go to take these trading opportunities in the price of Bitcoin or any crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, which by the way is a no KYC crypto exchange that I also use myself. And currently for the next 1.5 days or so, there's still this Christmas trading showdown happening where there's still a 1 million USDT prize pool. And so obviously there's massive prize money to be won over here just by simply trading crypto, getting involved. So especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this using that first link below this video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I also use to also claim extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because the second link below this video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you could also take advantage of massive bonuses. For example, if you make your account using that link, complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's also deposit bonuses here. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus in your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So obviously a bunch of free money here from the exchange, which you can claim by following deposits, for example, or completing KYC, etc. But all of this right here is only available if you're using that link below the video to actually make your Pinex account. So obviously if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, second link below the video to Pinex. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame. Right now, I'm going to say basically the same thing as what I just said for Bitcoin. In the short term, I expect very neutral price action for the Bitcoin dominance especially. And so obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day for the Bitcoin dominance. So that basically tells us that for the foreseeable future, for the next few days, maybe even the next few weeks or so, a number of weeks, we are likely going to see very similar performance for the altcoin market, the major altcoins out there, compared to what Bitcoin is doing. So don't necessarily expect a massive Bitcoin season or a massive altcoin season. Expect similar performance within the next few days or possibly weeks moving forward. And so once again, not a lot has changed over the last one day for the Bitcoin dominance. So without wasting your time, getting straight into Ethereum on the daily time frame. And right now the price of ETH is now retesting a crucial level on the price chart, which is this Fibonacci level, a Fibonacci support level, which is sitting at specifically around $3,040 to $3,050. But really in between around 3,000 to 3.1K, we have a lot of support around there to pay attention to. And so once again, right now we're testing that area of support. And if we actually break below that area, in other words, if we see a daily candle close confirm below 3,000, and if we fail to get back above that area, in that situation, I would expect a move most likely down towards close to 2.8K as the next massive area of support. But once again, at least for now, we're still holding on to this area of support at 3,000 to 3.1K. And as for resistance, in case we see any bounce here, in that situation, I would expect a decent amount of resistance really in between 3,250 to 3.3K. And if we're zooming further into the short term here, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, like I've already talked about over the last half a week, for almost 1 week now, we have that shorter term bearish divergence, which over the last one day is not yet technically invalidated. Technically, we can still be playing this out, basically in the form of most likely some choppy sideways price action now that we're starting to run into this support, which I also explained over the last 1 to 2 days. And now, technically speaking, we potentially are starting to confirm a new bullish divergence, which could start to invalidate this previous bearish divergence. But with that being said, it's not really a massive bullish divergence. Obviously, the RSI, for example, is only just scraping along this line of support, which means it could easily invalidate if we see a little break to the downside like this in the RSI. And so honestly, overall, I expect the same prediction to play out that I've been saying over the last 1 to 2 days, which is some choppy sideways price action is a very likely scenario. And obviously over the last 1 to 2 days, that's exactly what's played out as predicted. And I continue to predict that moving forward, most likely for the rest of the weekend, considering obviously we're lacking bullish momentum, but we are running into support, which is preventing further bearish price action and causing a lot of choppy sideways price action just in the shorter term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, obviously right now the price of Solana is still struggling underneath this massive area of resistance, which is still sitting at around 143 to 147. So continue to expect a lot of resistance in that area. And as for support, in case we see a little bit more of a pullback here in the short term, expect a decent amount of support at just above $130. So around 131 to 133, start to expect a decent amount of support around there on the price chart. And if the price of Solana confirms a break below that area, in that situation, the next massive support is at give or take $125. But right now, the price of Solana is basically in a bit of a sideways price range between that support at around 125 and this resistance at around 143 to 147. We're basically bouncing in this sideways price range as we saw previously over a month ago. And on top of that, technically speaking, this bullish divergence on the daily Solana price chart is still currently active. We've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate this bullish divergence, which means overall it's likely that in the coming days or possibly another 1 or 2 weeks, we could play out either more choppy sideways price action in this range, or maybe a little bit more of a bullish relief at some point, maybe retesting this area of resistance again towards the upside, maybe in a few days or a week from now, for example. But like I said, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, just for the remainder of the weekend, I expect basically a lack in momentum, bit of weakness, and most likely a bit of choppy sideways price action in the shorter term. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically we're still playing out this massive bearish divergence over the last 1 day. This has not yet been invalidated, so keep that in mind. Not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on the weekly XRP price chart. And of course, for support, we still have a lot of support here at around $1.80. And if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, we're still playing out the massive rejection from this area of resistance, which is still sitting in between $2.30 to $2.40. And so obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance in that area right there. But while we've been playing out this rejection over the last half a week, almost coming up to 1 week now, we're starting to run into this Fibonacci level acting as support, which I also talked about in my last video. And that level is sitting at around $2.05. So expect support around there, especially in between around $2 to $2.05 as an area of support to watch out for. So like I talked about in my last video, we're starting to slow down the bearish price action from the rejection. We're starting to slow down this bearish price action as we're now starting to run into this area of support, kind of very similar to Ethereum, obviously playing out the pullback, some bearish price action, but then more recently slowing the bearish price action because we're running into major support right here, helping to prevent lower prices, at least for now in the shorter term. For now, it's also a very similar situation for XRP here in the short term. And so like I've been saying throughout the video, at least over the weekend, talking about the immediate short term, the next 1 or 2 days, I expect most likely a bit of sideways price action as a very likely scenario just for the weekend, as we're holding this support, but not really seeing a lot of bullish momentum right now in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a similar situation for Chainlink. We don't really have a lot of momentum to either direction. Technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still currently active on the daily Chainlink price chart because we've not yet confirmed any strong invalidation signal to actually invalidate the bullish divergence, which means in the coming days or possibly another 1 or 2 weeks, it's possible we could play out either some more choppy sideways price action or maybe a little bit more of a bullish relief, maybe within the next 1 or 2 weeks. But once again, like I've been saying throughout the video, just for the next 1 or 2 days, I expect very boring price action, most likely a bit of sideways price action for the weekend for the price of Chainlink and really a lot of these major altcoins here. As for support and resistance, we still have a lot of support at around $12.60 to $12.80, and also a lot of support at pretty much exactly $12, give or take. And as for resistance, I'd expect some resistance now in between $13.30 to $13.50 now that we've broken below that area over the last couple of days. And if we break out back above that area, expect a bit of resistance at around $14.10 based on this local high, and more resistance in between $14.70 to $15. And so overall, those are my expectations moving forward for all of these crypto assets and the key levels and key signals to watch out for moving forward. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade these moves in any crypto, no matter what direction the price goes, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.